Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Protect and Grow with Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns of TJ Stearns Incorporated. Trust, respect, and results. TJ Stearns Incorporated focuses on comprehensive financial planning and benefits.
And welcome into the program. This is Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement. And with us, as always, we have our resource for the information that we need to navigate this complex, crazy financial world and plan for a more stable, secure, and confident financial future. He is Chicagoland's CFP certified financial planner, Tim Stearns. Tim, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me, Peter.
Always a pleasure. And Tim, you brought along a great list for all of us guys out there. We need our checklists. We need to have them compartmentalized. We need to know exactly what steps. Father's Day weekend being the occasion that we're celebrating here, this will help us to sort through and navigate the 10 steps we need to prepare for retirement. And Tim, always a resource there at TJ Stearns Inc. You will help walk people through this 10-step checklist if they need help, or provide them the checklist if they just want to have the information and go over it on their own time.
Yep, happy to do it. So if anyone wants to give us a call, we'll email it to them today.
800-640-2256 is the number to call if you would like to get the 10 steps to prepare for retirement, or if you would like help in answering and addressing and formulating your plan for how to deal with any of these 10 steps. Again, Tim does offer the opportunity for Chicagoland area, all surrounding area savers and investors to get that Protect and Grow plan put together, a snapshot of where you are financially, discussion of your goals, writing those down, documenting them, and then with the help and assistance of a CFP, a certified financial planner, formulating your timetable of steps, executable action items, what you need to do in order to achieve those goals, turn the goals into your future realities. That's the Protect and Grow plan. If you'd like to get yours, again, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. So Tim, number one on this checklist, these are our 10 steps that we should take in order to prepare for retirement. Where do we go first?
Well, I mean, I think every good plan begins with a budget. Define what that looks like. A lot of people, until they sit down and really go through it, they have an idea what their bills are, but they don't really know. And really in retirement, it's about that, right? It's about being able to pay our bills. And people come in here all the time and they ask, do I have enough? Well, let's define your budget, and then we can build an income allocation plan from there.
Yeah. How much is enough? Do we even know? So defining that budget is really about figuring out what that retirement number needs to look like. And it's not always about the lump sum, Tim. For retirement, we're trying to replace a paycheck. So reviewing our spending from a couple different angles, a couple different directions. One is the line item obligations. That sort of is subsistence living. That's what we have to. But in my household, I find that when I look back and look at what we actually spend, it's usually about twice of what I would think when I just looked at that line item budget. So we really need to define how much do we want to be able to count and depend on for lifestyle spending in retirement.
Well, 100%. And, I think people, or one of the spouses knows what the other one's spending, but, what we try to do is get the couple on board together so that they know exactly, kind of defining what that looks like. What is your budget? And then, a lot of times there's a lot of surprises. So which is interesting. So, but I mean, and then the other thing we'll do is that then I will have them define their sources of guaranteed income, pensions, Social Security, that type of thing, so that we can actually figure out if they have an income gap.
And when looking at those sources of guaranteed income, Tim, we need to make the most of those so that there's a little less strain and stress and reliance on our personal assets, right? You're talking, when you say guaranteed sources of income, you're talking about the sources that we do not have to generate from our personal wealth or our portfolios.
Right. So you find out what the budget is. Let's say it's like $100,000 a year. All right. And then they have guaranteed sources of, let's say $40,000. Well, we have a gap of $60,000. That's as simple as that can be. And, it's a lot of times it's, it's like going to the doctor. You don't really want to have to do it, but once you finally go, you feel a bit better. Well, this is giving them a plan, because not having a plan is having a plan.
Right.
So we try to ascertain what exactly that they're going to have coming in monthly. If they're lucky enough to still have a pension, then those are the, like you said, they would get up every day and the money's coming in from their guaranteed sources. There's going to be an income gap. So, and then the other thing is, do we turn on Social Security? You can go as early as 62, or you could go to full retirement age. Usually it's 66 or 67, depending on the year you were born. Or if you want, maybe you wait till age 70 and you can, get the power of compounding at 8% a year. That's not the worst idea.
No, but again, Tim, the more we can get from Social Security and or pensions, if we're lucky enough to have those, the less we'll need to count on our own personal net worth. So taking the time to understand Social Security and all of the options that we have, it's not an easy decision. I mean, just whole year increments between a married couple, that's like 81 different potential combinations of how to claim and collect. And that's not even using any of the more advanced strategies, or you can claim month by month. They're really are a plethora of different ways to claim and collect Social Security. But this is something that can make or break our retirement. It's one of the foundational pieces, a cornerstone really of providing security for all the rest of our retirement planning.
Right. And, you don't want to leave money on the table. So when we do, our reports, I mean, it really defines to the person how much they're either taking advantage of a good situation, or maybe they're leaving money on the table. And, no one really knows how Social Security works. And if, they have ideas, but then, if you go to the Social Security, office in Chicagoland, they don't help you. They don't guide you, and,
it's actually against their job description to guide, because they do not take on the liability of becoming an advisor. Correct. They don't know the rest of your situation, which,
right.
Tim, this decision on how to claim and collect Social Security must be, in order to make a good decision, it must be incorporated with the rest of your situation.
Absolutely. And that's what, basically what you're talking about is formulating an income plan. Where we're going to get the money from, what is our gap, and then go from there.
And Tim, you sort of walked us through a little bit of the back of the napkin math there. But if we have defined our budget at 100,000, we need 100,000 a year. We've defined our guaranteed sources of income. We've gone through the Social Security maximization reports analysis. We've done our job there. Now we've got 40,000 a year, we'll call it, coming in from Social Security. The leftover, what we still need, that's 60,000. That is defining the income gap. In this case, the income gap is $60,000 a year. Formulating the income plan, step number 5, that is specifically mapping out how to create that $60,000 that we will need. And that's really where, Tim, the rubber meets the road, and where there have been a lot of problems in the traditional way that retirement has been planned for and projected out.
Well, it's not your grandpa and grandma's financial planning, nowadays. We have to be smarter, because, when you're done working, you literally have a finite amount of money. Hopefully you have growth, from your portfolio, but at the end of the day, you're a net seller of assets. And so you need to be careful not to lose that money, because, no one wants to go back to work when they're 80 years old. So we have to be nice and careful about that, which brings me to my next point: understanding your risk exposure. If I had a nickel every time people are coming in here to see us, and they have way too much in stocks, because it's been a 12-year bull market, and that's been a great run. But, about every, 4 to 7 years, we have a pullback. We're due. I think, I'm not trying to be a doom and gloom guy, but all good things come to an end.
Overdue. Tim,
Right.
Yeah, we have been looking at this chart as we were planning and talking about this discussion. This chart that dates back 100 years and shows the different market downturns that have,
Right.
on average, happened about every 7 years, and
Right.
the average drawdown on each one of those has been about a loss of 40% in the market value. So over the course of an average retirement these days, which can easily be 30 years, we're going to see 3, 4, 5 of these downturns. And I'm not sure many people want to go through that. A, we don't. No, nobody wants to go through that. But B, can afford to go through that and continue to keep their assets at risk, riding that roller coaster, and then still be able to maintain the cash flow and the income that they need.
Well, and what you're seeing is a lot of people are still using asset allocation, which, again, with our book that we hand out to the first 10 callers with over $500,000, the book defines it as income allocation, making sure that you have the ability to pay your bills, and then you have a growth bucket, of course, and on top of that. But we got to look at the exposure. It's amazing how many people come in here and they own the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, over and over throughout their portfolio, So these are things that we'll test for them to show them, you're not diversified just because you're in mutual funds, And not only that, but I have a problem with mutual funds because when the market goes down, they go down, and when they go up, they go up, and that's it. They don't go to cash. And so in our classes, I'll ask the classroom, I'll say, how many, a show of hands, last March got an outbound phone call from their 401k provider? And they all look at me like I'm crazy. No one did. I've never had anyone raise
or their mutual fund manager.
Exactly.
It just doesn't happen, right?
Nope.
Tim, you mentioned the book Income Allocation. So before we go on and talk more about this, I do want to give those listeners that are tuned in and may want this essential retirement planning strategy guidebook. Again, it's titled Income Allocation, and it is actually the solution for many of the risks that we face in modern retirement that the old model of asset allocation left us exposed to. So if you'd like to get a better handle on how to position and structure the assets to address some of these risks, you need to read this book, Income Allocation. Tim Stearns does make it available to you. The first 10 callers with at least 500,000 saved for retirement, he'll get that in your hands, whether emailing you out the digital copy or mailing you out the physical copy, or you can come in for the Protect and Grow strategy planning session and pick it up then. But however, you can get that copy of Income Allocation by calling now 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And the reason why you may want to do that, step 5 here, formulate the income plan. Tim, the article that you sent ahead of time, the Market Watch article, you said this is the reason why people need an income allocation. This article is titled Worst Case Scenario Warning for Retirees and the 4% Rule. Now, the 4% rule was basically the model of projecting out the income that people could generate under the old asset allocation model. And what Market Watch is pointing out is basically with the bull run, the fantastic run that the stock market has been on, being overdue for a correction with the low interest rates, we may essentially be facing a perfect storm for retirees who are counting and relying on this 4% rule.
Right. And, Bill Bangin came up with the 4% rule back in the 90s. He doesn't even use it. In fact, it's been proven that asset allocation fails 67% of the time if you're taking out 4%.
Well, what I think he said was that he would not count on this for any individual's retirement, that the model that he put together was always for institutional investing that didn't need to rely on income.
Right. That's exactly right. A lot of people don't know that, all it takes is a sequence of returns risk, where the market goes down and you're drawing way more than 4%. And, that can lead to tragedy, which is running out of money.
Well, we don't want to do that. And again, that's why you need to read this book, understand the risks that we face in today's modern retirement and the solutions, how to structure the assets to address those risks. Income Allocation. If you'd like that book, pick up the phone now, give a call, 800-640-2256. If you have been thinking about retiring, if your spouse has been thinking about retiring, if your parents, your children have been talking about it, if a coworker has mentioned it to you, call and request the list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement. Get that in your hands and put it in their hands if they've been talking about it, and they'll appreciate it because they'll understand the steps. And then you can talk to them about the factors of how to address each one of them that you've heard on today's program. If you'd like to take it that next step, Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner, offers his help and assistance in formulating your answers to these 12 steps to prepare for retirement. Again, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256 if you'd like to request this list. 10 steps to prepare for retirement. Tim, moving on here, understanding your risk exposure. If we keep up with the old traditional model, asset allocation, and we do not adjust that once we leave the paycheck behind, we've significantly increased the risk exposure that we have.
Yes. And, I see people, they say stuff like, oh man, if that happens again, I'm never going to take that much risk again, and then inevitably they are, because, people want to get the most they can out of the market, and they leave themselves exposed to like high risk when you're a net seller of assets. That really makes me nervous.
Tim, you are a believer that retirees or those nearing retirement should not be taking excessive risk, should not be risking losing 30, 40, 50% of their portfolio. However, that's obviously not the belief of every advisor or financial institution, because they leave retirees exposed to those types of risks.
Right. So in the last 20 years, we've had two downturns of 50%, 2000 through 2002 and 2007 through 2009. If that happens to you when you're first retired, it can be it will decimate the portfolio. And next thing you know, you're up the creek without a paddle. And people are taking undue risk and they're not rebalancing. And then, there's also this thing called interest rate risk. So these are all things that we address in here, and in my retirement classes at Roosevelt University, we're always, we go through the whole mantra of financial planning. But I mean, a lot of people luckily have come in to see us afterwards because they didn't realize, that they're playing with fire.
Tim, next on the list here, calculate taxes.
Right.
Now, in this environment where they're constantly talking about how taxes are going to increase into the future, how they're planning to change tax, how do we calculate taxes? What's the beginning formula for that? Or is this one of those questions that we just need to continue to address throughout retirement?
Well, I mean, it's going to be your biggest cost in retirement, right? Besides medical expenses. So luckily we have a CPA here, and, we can address that and make sure that everyone understands what that bill is going to look like. Because the IRS has every dollar that you've ever earned, they have ideas of how to spend it, and unfortunately, you have to give, anywhere from 25 to, 30%, depending on your income.
Yeah. They don't forget about them just because you've put them in a retirement account. In fact, they specifically remember those dollars, maybe more than any other.
Yep, exactly. And the other thing I'm seeing a lot of is, people are leaving assets different places. We had a Department of Labor employee that was telling us that millennials have over $1 billion in old 401ks that they just forget about, because they're moved jobs quite a bit. And, that the working 35 years for a company and getting the watch isn't a thing for them. And, I would tell anybody that if you have a 401k, consolidate those things. You're paying fees. I mean, a lot of them, 79% of people that we talk about in our class don't think they're paying any fees. And those 401ks they're not free,
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are the type of things we can help people do. Tracking down assets is huge.
Well, the Market Watch article, Tim, it mentioned something about fees as well. And it said that if somebody had retired in 2000 and followed the 4% rule, that 20 years later, maybe they're still okay. Oh, except if they're paying just 1% of their portfolio value per year in fees. And if they increase the 4% withdrawal rate to now a 5% because of the fees, that they are essentially wiped out by this point in time. So fees do matter.
Absolutely. You're right. And a lot of people think that they're just paying the advisor a fee. Well, the mutual fund manager needs to get paid too, right? So usually you see north of 2%. And then you add in transaction costs, all that trading that they do, that costs money too. And you're at 2.5%, 3%, and people don't have a clue. Oh, I'm not writing him a check or her. Yeah, I know you're not, but it's going up in flames, and that's why you need to make sure you know what your fees are.
So consolidating like titled accounts, all your 401ks and IRAs into kind of one bucket, Roths into another bucket, just regular investment accounts into yet a third. It does not lose out on diversification. And in fact, Tim, by consolidating, many times you increase the amount of diversification that somebody's total portfolio has.
Right. I agree. Yeah. And why not open up the world to your portfolio? I mean, why be beholden to whatever mutual fund family they're using when you could be getting something that's tactical, active money management? That's what we believe in. The buy and hold to me is dead.
Number 9 on your list, Tim. Consider inflation. This is a big one that a lot of people are seeing firsthand right now.
Right. And we call that the silent thief. I mean, it's we always tell people is that your money needs to double every 23 years. And if you're looking at a 30+ year retirement, I mean, that's a huge ticket right there. You need to make sure that you're keeping up with spending and making sure your dollar is being addressed with inflation.
Now, Tim, when you talk about structuring this income allocation for retirement, a time where we no longer plan on earning a paycheck, a lot of financial, we'll call them plans, air quotes, projections, assume that we just need a flat amount of income for the duration of the rest of our lives. When you're helping somebody to build an income allocation, you're actually utilizing tools and strategies and products that give the opportunity for increases in income. And in some cases, Tim, don't you actually structure in automatic and guaranteed pay raises throughout retirement?
Yes, we definitely, cost of living adjustments are huge. And your Social Security is not going to give you that great of a inflation kicker. So these are the things that we make sure that in the plan, we're going up by 3% each year and making sure that we're hitting the goals on the spreadsheet.
And finally, on these 10 steps, at least, Tim, review and update your legal documents. How many times do you see where somebody has gotten sort of the financial picture together, but left beneficiaries completely exposed to things by not having their legal documents in order?
Right. Or, we had a gentleman call me for the radio show that he still had his ex-wife on there, as a beneficiary. And, oh my gosh, I got to fix that. Yeah. You
went through your process, Tim, and figured that out. Oof.
Yep.
Geez.
Yeah,
well, better now
better late than never.
Later. You're right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, Tim, you mentioned, taxes being one of our largest expenses, healthcare being another, inflation, the silent thief being a potential third largest expense in retirement. As we are talking about Father's Day weekend here, you've got another great report, the 4 approaches to long-term care. Now, being a guy and knowing that I'm invincible, for me, the thought of long-term care isn't necessarily about me. Because if I go through it, I'm a guy and I can be tough. And besides, it'll never happen to me anyway. But even if it does, I could just, go into the forest and eat tree bark and survive off that. But for me, the way that I actually take this seriously is thinking about the burden that it could place on my family. Mm-hmm. And your 4 approaches to long-term care, I think helps to provide a little bit of motivation that that's not necessarily the way that we want to go, is becoming a dependent on our family or on the government.
Right. Well, I mean, there's basically, you have traditional long-term care insurance, which is use it or lose it. I'm not a big fan of that. You can also self-insure, and hopefully, you have enough money to cover that. Or you could become a dependent to your family, like you talked about. But the one I really like is the linked benefits, where you don't have to be dead to use it. So there's a cash value, it's growing money, tax deferred. And when you pull it out, it's a loan against the policy. So that's tax free. And those are the type of things, I want bang for my buck. And that's why we do the linked benefits like it. So, and then, with you're looking at some estate planning, it covers that too, because it has a death benefit that's tax free.
Now, Tim, with these linked benefits, one kind of life insurance / long-term care, we can actually access the death benefit during our life to cover long-term care costs.
Right. If you can't do 2 of your activities of daily living, you can take some of the death benefit and use that for your benefit. And I think that's outstanding. You don't have to be dead to use it.
And then, Tim, on the other side of the linked benefits, there is an annuity version that provides some long-term care. And we may be able to get that one even if we already have some underlying health conditions, because essentially, as I understand it, there's no medical underwriting that is required for that. And the fear of spending our money too quickly because we've got long-term care expenses added on to the regular expenses of our budget, that version of addressing this issue, you have a guarantee never to run out of at least a baseline amount of income, correct?
Right, exactly. And they call it an income doubler. I mean, it's outstanding. If you have underlying conditions where you wouldn't be able to get life insurance, then that is the way to go. And again, it's not use it or lose it. I mean, it's going to be there for someone in the let's say the Smith family. You're going to get the benefits of it.
Well, on today's special Father's Day edition of Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement, Tim Stearns has made several valuable offers, ladies and gentlemen. One for the book Income Allocation. This is modern retirement planning. If you'd like to understand how to structure your assets to specifically address many of the risks that we face in today's retirement, you need to pick up this book. You can get it for free. One of the first 10 callers, just be one of the first 10 callers with at least 500,000 saved. The strategies discussed in the book are best suited for those with 500,000 or more. If you'd like that book, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. If you'd like the list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement, good for anybody who is retirement minded, thinking of retiring, even already retired. If you'd like the list of the 4 approaches to long-term care, so you can consider those options and why you may want to address this. Or if you'd like to sit down and formulate your specific plan, your Protect and Grow plan for retirement, including Social Security maximization, a look at the risks that you are exposed to, the fees that you're paying, how to maximize Social Security and other forms of lifetime income. That is what the Protect and Grow plan is all about, helping you map out your plan for retirement and specifically that income allocation retirement plan. Again, pick up the phone, give a call. These are the values of being tuned in right now, is that you can take advantage of any of those offers. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. And Tim, knowing you're a family man yourself, happy Father's Day to you.
Hey, same to you, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and providing Chicagoland area savers and investors kind of a dose of reality, common sense, and a little bit of hope that we can, in fact, achieve our goals if we plan effectively for our financial future. If you'd like to do that, ladies and gentlemen, pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns a call, 800-640-2256. We'll talk to you soon.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program on 890 WLS every Sunday at 11 a.m. and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.